Alright guys, I know it's been a while since my last video, but today we are going to be taking a look at my racing simulator setup for my Xbox. Let's jump into it. Okay, so what we're looking at here is my current e-racing or racing simulator setup. I've got the wheel attached to this stand with pedals at the bottom, and then it all connects to the Xbox via USB. So, a little bit of a deeper dive. What you're looking at here is the Hori Racing wheel, and it's the model AB04-001U. It is for Xbox, as shown there, the Xbox logo, the Xbox button layout there on the right. LB, RB, all that jazz. And a little bit about it. Currently on sale for $107.90, 270 degree turn radius, and it is compatible with the Xbox Series X and S, the Xbox One, and Windows 10. As you can see, I have a Mac, so I actually can't utilize the extra features that it has because it does require Windows to do some software adjusting. And the only branding on the entire thing is this RWO Racing Wheel Overdrive. That's the model specific for this wheel. It does say Hori up at the top. And then it is a clamp system. You can kind of see here. I did have to sort of MacGyver it, and I will talk about that in a minute. But moving on to this stand. And sorry for the little bit of a mess in the back, but here's the stand here. It is a Vevor G920 stand. And the specs are for Logitech. I looked all over, far and wide, near, far, etc., to find a specific Hori racing wheel stand. They don't exist. At least as far as I could research, they don't exist. So this is what I have. Like I said, this clamp system for the race wheel, it's okay. However, my desk here has a specific slant to it, so the clamp was ruled in. It was ruled unusable, so that's why I got this stand. Now, that being said, with this clamp, these clamps here, let's see if I can get that to focus for you. These clamps didn't actually tighten all the way up against this metal plate. So what I had to do is put a little shim of cardboard in between so that I don't get any wiggling if I move the wheel. And it flexes a little bit, but that's also just the stand. The wheel itself doesn't really move at all. So it's on there pretty sturdily. Okay. The stand itself here, I did have to do some modifications, like I said, because it is built for the Logitech. The Logitech has specific mounts and holes and screws and nuts and bolts and what have you to actually fit the pedals so that they stick to this, it doesn't slide. And then same thing for this wheel. There are holes in this metal plate that this Hori wheel just aren't compatible with. But that's fine. We made it work, and I'm going to show you how. Also, the current cost for this stand is actually $66.34. So it's actually very reasonable if you pair it with the $107 wheel. You're still less than what a Logitech, even an entry-level Logitech wheel, will run you. So let's get into my little MacGyver here. Down below, as you can see, these pedals, if it'll focus, these pedals are free moving. So I'll move it right down here for you. they do have rubber pads on the bottom, but on a hardwood floor such as mine here, they move like nobody's business, as if there was no resistance whatsoever. Same thing goes for on this metal plate. So what I did was I got 3/8 inch nuts and bolts and put them in this configuration. Our total for the stand, the wheel, and the nuts and bolts is still only about $175, or give or take. You know, these nuts and bolts were maybe $5 for all of them. I said 107 for the wheel, and then 66 for the stand. I don't know if I showed this yet, but it is a paddle shifting. It has a really nice click to it too. Both sides. And then your button layout. I did show this at the beginning, but I'll show it again here. Your D-pad, LSB, LB, RB, maybe. Hold. There we go. RB, RSB, and then your Xbox layout, XYBA, and then this is your capture button. This is actually a file input button. So if you were to use the software features that this has with a Windows computer of some sort, you can actually program different settings, software settings, and access them with this little filing folder. I think this is also a software button, and then this is like a start-stop button, similar on the Xbox controller. So before I start turning it on and showing you a little bit of the features, I have a little pros and cons list for you. So pros being that it is a more relatively inexpensive setup. I would say probably one of the better beginner models, and I'm saying beginner because it's pretty inexpensive compared to like a $200 Logitech. However, $200 plus a stand, it all adds up. So this is a great way to start, especially if you have a Windows device. You can input software changes to make this even more customizable, to feel almost like a Logitech. And then the cons, like I said before, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect fit by any means on this stand. Additionally, I don't have a Windows device, so I'm missing out on the software changes and software updates. And then with that being said, this does have a dead zone in the drivability, which you can edit with the software. And it's really hard to show on camera. I'll have to show it once we're actually driving and I'll, on the game. But there's just a hair of dead zone before the controller actually, registers the turn. But with those Windows updates, you have the ability to adjust that in the software itself. I do not, so I have to live with it, which is fine. But it is a con that I have to share with you all in case you're like me and you're an Apple boy. As I set up the game here, one thing I forgot to mention is that there's absolutely no headphone jack on this racing wheel. And this is the first racing wheel that I have owned, so I don't know if it's common or not to have a headphone jack. Or if most people nowadays are just using, Bluetooth wireless headphones. But that being said, this does not have a headphone jack on it. So if you have a wired headset like I do, you're kind of hosed. You can't use it. You have to go through the Xbox app on your phone, and then you run into, the latency of that and also the sound quality issues. So something to note for sure when buying this is that if you go to play with friends and you're playing online, just know that it's going to be kind of hard to talk to them. You kind of have to do some of the workarounds. Not my favorite thing, for sure. Definitely a downside because it's just more pieces to work with, you know? If I want to use this and I'm playing with my buddy, I have to put my phone and start a chat on my phone and then use my headphones and then, too many things to add on. Whereas with the controller, you just plug your headset right into the bottom of it and you're good to go. So, another con there for you. Not a deal breaker, but definitely an annoyance. Okay, what I'm going to attempt here is to drive a lap or two and show you some of these features without knocking my camera over. But I'm all set up here. See if you can really sort of focus in on how slightly I have to turn before the controller checks. So there is that little bit of dead zone, but I've been able to figure it out. So I do full paddle, all manual driving. And it's very smooth. A controller is smooth, but there's nothing quite like having an actual wheel. And you see how I kind of have to wiggle this just a little bit just to, oh, bad turn, make it through into a straight line almost. I have to give it a little bit of a jerk before it turns. Not much, but it is there. And then you've got, I think my turn was at 270. Hard to tell. Either way, it's smooth. It works great. So then we'll get an angle for you. Oh, there's the grass. I'll get an angle for you of the pedals and kind of show you how that works. Okay, and now here's the angle shot of the pedals. This was possible to work with without these bolts. However, it took some finesse, and I had to be very careful. And there was a lot of races where I had to readjust with my feet and pull this thing back so it was straight, because it does want to slip and slide all around. Wearing something like Crocs, or slippers helped, but having these bolts in place, this thing, it really can only go right or left. So as long as I'm not, driving like an absolute maniac, it works well. So I'm going to do one more lap for you and show you the pedals, and just their responsiveness and, how easy they are, how smooth they are. And it's smooth, they're responsive, they don't have much resistance as far as like force feedback goes. There is none of that, but it doesn't feel like I'm just pressing into nothing. They have a little bit of a sponge, a little bit of a spring to them, in a good way. Same thing goes for the wheel. There is no force feedback, which is fine. It's an entry-level model. It's beginner. It's affordable. But the spring in it is strong, and it whips back into the center, like a regular wheel would. Okay, we're back from the race. Final thoughts, like I said, this is a great entry-level option. It's probably the cheapest wheel that is worth your while that I could find. Again, I found this on Amazon. Not sure if I mentioned that in the beginning. I found it on Amazon. Same thing with the stand, and then the bolts were from Home Depot, 3/8 inch. But yeah, all in all, I highly recommend it. I think it's a lot of fun. It definitely elevates your game. I would say that makes me a little bit better. I feel as though I have improved. I feel as though using a wheel helps you understand the flow of the car and the lines that you're supposed to hit while you're racing. But that's a little bit more technical, and just for a yes or no, yes, definitely go for it. If If you can afford it, go for it. Is it fun? Yes. Is it worth it? Yes. Will it make you better? Maybe. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments. Let me know if you want to see anything else. Let me know if you want to race against me. Let me know if you want to lose against me. Gotcha. Yeah, and like, comment, and subscribe.